The reason I got in contact with Sharon is because I felt during my journey with GIST, it was often the case that sometimes the medical people who were treating me, who were with me, are the most dedicated people I've ever met in my life. And I'm grateful for them because they saved my life. There isn't any doubt about that. But on other occasions, you felt as if maybe they could have said it a different way. And maybe there's an opportunity for us, as part of this community, to actually aid and assist medics maybe communicating better with their patients. So I'm going to take you, hopefully, through how we may achieve that. But I start off with my claim to legitimacy. Now, don't worry about the fact you can't read that, because in actual fact, this is my discharge letter from the consultant I had to my GP. And it doesn't matter about the details in it, but when I actually go on to this part, you'll probably notice something's missing there. And the something that's missing is a CC somewhere, probably about there. There isn't a CC because this is went to the doctor. Did they come to me? They've spoken to me. And I thought, oh, well, that's quite unusual. And the reason I got this letter is because, like others, I was concerned about my treatment, and I wanted to know just what dialogue had went on between doctors, medics. So that's why I got my medical records. So this isn't for me, and it's just as well because here is part of the problem. And I heard somebody speaking earlier about the size of their tumour. I hope you can see here that what we had was 37 to 27 by 30 centimetres. Now, the issue with that is that it's not a cube. So the best I could do and try and put into perspective was actually to suggest that it was the size of a basketball. Right. A basketball is 27.5 centimetres in diameter. So this tumour was in my stomach, and I sit here like that so you can actually see. Somebody said, was a discussion took place with medics about the GIST. I never heard the GIST. That was never discussed, never entered the lexicon when I was actually being treated. I was taken in as an emergency, having been in there for a period of time. The operation was a success, and you'll see that it ended up with a total gastrectomy, splenectomy, and they actually took half my liver away. What actually happened is on the Tuesday I was taken in, they did this, they packed my stomach, and they took me back in on the Thursday and reconnected my esophagus to my intestines. But the interesting part here is that during that operation, I was transfused with 30 litres of blood, which, how could you represent that? Well, obviously, our other national drink is Iron Brew. So there are 15 2-litre bottles of, that's the transfusion that took place on the day. I was really concerned. The problem actually was the fact that they were running out of blood in the hospital. This is a general hospital. This isn't a specialist, or I was interested that you should go to a specialist. This was a general hospital I'm in. Wishaw General Hospital, where I live. And they were running out. In fact, my wife's at the back, and her cousin worked in the lab, the lab, and actually got a letter from the first time it ever happened. They'd actually got a letter thanking them for their contribution on that day, which I'm grateful for them as well, because you can see where we would ended up. So, in the run up to it, and this is maybe giving you some background to it, I was unwell, and I was lying, and I didn't know what was happening. Nobody was suggesting what was happening. And I was in a general hospital, Wishaw General, no a university teaching hospital, a general hospital. And they didn't know what was wrong. So they had consulted their MDT teams, and they turned around and said, maybe we should go to the liver specialist at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. Well known, prestigious. So the initial discussion was somebody visiting me and saying, listen, I think you need to go to Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. We've had a discussion. And I'm going, okay, I'll go anywhere. At that time, I was so unwell anyway. I hadn't eaten for 3 months. I hadn't drunk for 3 months. Hadn't been in the sheets in the bed at the hospital. So that was a discussion. Blue lighted to Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. So I'm lying in bed. And this person arrives and says, we're going to give you a blood transfusion. And I go, oh, okay. Well, you're a patient, so, well, that's what we're going to do. So they give me the blood transfusion. And then, and this was a sad part, a person appears at the bottom of my bed and announces to the nursing staff and one of the doctors, I'm an anaesthetist, I'm here to cannula one of your patients. I don't know why I've been sent for. I don't do that. Well, I'm the patient and I'm sitting, I'm listening to this. And he comes in and he puts a grey cannula line in. But he hurt me. And I mean he hurt me. I was sore. And I goes, oh well, cannula in. Then a young doctor comes up and tells me they're going to catheterise me. Now, I don't know how it is for the women on here, but it's very, very precious to you, right? And you're looking down at somebody putting a catheter in, and you go, oh, all right, okay, so they've been catheterised, right? But, well, what's that about? So you're anxious, obviously. And I asked somebody why that would have happened. Somebody very precious to me. Happens to be my daughter-in-law who's a GP. And she says, well, the reason, Jim, for a transfusion is because they were taking you to the Royal. They were going to be rocking you. They didn't know whether you had a hematoma or not. And what they were going to make sure is they could transfuse on that journey. The reason for a cannula is if you were into shock, they could put resuscitation drugs into you very quickly. It was a large bore cannula. And the reason for a catheter is to make sure that when you're driving along the M8 and you're ready for a toilet, they're not getting into the services, right? So it made sense. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it have been good if somebody would have sat and told me that, right? Now, I'm not making criticism of the medics because they're absolutely fantastic, but you turn and say, well, could have did that. The last part here is gently let down. And what I mean is, this has all happened in the afternoon, the Friday afternoon. And then a doctor comes in, and she kneels down on the floor next to me in the bed. We're not going to the Royal Infirmary. I said, we're not going to the Royal Infirmary. I've already made arrangements for my son, how he was going to get there. No. The liver team at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary don't think they can do anything for you. Oh, that's nice. Well, okay, I'll accept that. So we're going to monitor you over the weekend, and then we'll maybe take you in for surgery. So I'm not going to the Royal. Over the weekend, the Monday, they came in and say, you're going to get operated in tomorrow. You're going to operate in theatre tomorrow. Okay. Right. At last, something's happening. So my wife, my 2 kids are there. And of course I'm sitting there, I'm going to theatre tomorrow. Oh, I wonder. In the morning, I was going at 10 o'clock on the Tuesday, 8:30 in the morning, the doctor comes in. And you notice I'm anonymising it, a doctor, right? A doctor comes in. And he says, I think it'd be a good idea if you phoned your wife, told her to get here and bring your kids with you. Now my kids, they work in Lanark, which is about 12 miles from Wishy General. My other son works in Falkirk. He specialises in cancer diagnosis, etc. A statistician that you were talking about, the very important people in the admin who actually crunch numbers. So it takes him maybe an hour to get there, about 35 miles away. So I'm looking at him going like that. So he goes out, and I'm sitting there, I phoned my wife. I says, listen, you have to get here. Of course, her natural question is, why? And I said, I've no idea, I didn't need to say anything. But that hour and a half to the porter comes. I'm lying there in bed, and I'm thinking, I ain't going to make this. This isn't going to happen. This is me saying my last goodbye. The porter comes up, takes me. We're going out, but this time my wife and my younger son, he's there. But my other son's travelling from Falkirk. He's struggling to get there. But we goes out, and it isn't far from the ward along to the theatre. As I look up, my oldest son is running down the corridor. We go in, and we go to the prep room, if you like. And we go in, and I'm comforted. And I know this is sexist and ageist. I don't care. I look in, and I see the theatre, and it's grey-haired nurses that are there. And I'm comforted. I goes, good, brilliant. These people, I think they'll know what they're doing. So, I have to say goodbye, but I don't know whether I'm ever going to see them again. I have no idea whether I'm going to see them again. So, the anaesthetist comes up, the girl comes up, she tries to put the cannula in, it doesn't work. A male one comes in and it happens. We go into theatre. I don't wake up from the Tuesday till the Saturday. I'm unconscious, I'm in the high dependency unit, and so I'm in a ventilator, and I wake up on the Saturday, and I'm looking about. Now, I can't talk, obviously, because of the ventilator, etc. But what they give me is a card, and it's got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? But I'm quite old-fashioned, I use QWERTY, right? So I'm trying to tell my wife, but my fingers are going all over the place, I don't even know where I am. And I'm going like that, and she's struggling, she's going, what are you trying to say, what is it? And my question was, where am I? Right, so that's what I was asking, where am I? And my wife eventually was, are you trying to say, where are you? She says, what's your general hospital? And my face collapsed because I was so disappointed I was in Wishaw General Hospital. Because, see, I was a health and safety manager in Glasgow Royal Infirmary, which is a teaching hospital in Glasgow. And they were excellent. And I wanted to be in Glasgow Royal, and here I was in Wishaw General. How disappointing is that? I mean, unbelievable. But we come through it, and I start going through the therapy to come out of it. I'm visited by a Canadian lad who teaches me to breathe again. If anybody's been in that situation, it's impossible to describe how bad you feel, right? I've got 51 staples across my stomach, which is okay, I'm okay with that. And I'm trying to breathe again, I'm learning to breathe. And this lad supported me, and he's showing me how to breathe and what I have to do, and I'm breathing. And he gives me a wand, which I can stick in my mouth to take away all the mucus and everything that's there. I can understand when it comes to the people that are involved in the COVID and exactly what they mean when they're actually ventilated. I couldn't walk, I got up, this lad was supporting me. I said, if it wasn't for him, I don't know what would have happened, because the quicker I could get up, the quicker I could get transferred for HDU, because the intensive care unit is transitory. There are people worse than you in it, and I knew I was on the road to recovery. There were people who were worse than me who were waiting to get in, and I was holding that bed up. So I worked hard to get out. I'm sitting in the post-operation, I'm lying in my bed one day. I think it was the Monday. So I was in HDU, operated on the Tuesday, woke up on the Saturday in HDU and transferred to the ward the following Friday. So on the Monday, the doctor comes in and he goes, hi. I says, why? He says, we've got the results for the pathologist. I goes, well, great. I says, no, bad news. I said, it's bad news, and I'm lying there. And I had learned a word, prognosis. You know, so what's the prognosis? I'm not telling you at this time. I said, you're not telling me? No, what I want you to do is I want you to go and get your wife and get your 2 kids, and I'll be back here at 2 o'clock. This is 11:45. So I have to go on the phone to my wife and turn around and say, listen, the doctor said it's bad news. I don't know what's happened. And you have to bring the kids down. So I've got 2 hours, during which time I've been lying there and I'm going, oh, I don't know, what's the funeral? What kind of music am I having at the funeral? Who's going to speak for me? Who's going to do the... You know, you go through all these things, it's total emotion that's coming through. And 2 o'clock arrives, the surgeon comes in, along with a nurse specialist. He says, yeah, we'll got the result of the time. It's GIST. First time I've heard of GIST. I don't even know what GIST is. Just that, you're saying just GIST, it doesn't make any difference. He says, it's just, I say, all right. He says, and it's incurable. Oh, well, that was something I was wanting to hear. But it can be treated. I goes, all right. He says, it can be treated with Gleevec, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to write to my consultant colleague at the Beats in West of Scotland Cancer Care Centre, and they're going to take care of you. I go, right, that's fine. I goes, okay. And this is a specialist nurse. She'll liaise with you, and she gave me a leaflet. That happened to be the GIST leaflet. And that's how I was able to get so much information. And she gave me the leaflet. I never seen her again, but she gave me the leaflet. Anyway, I'm incurable. I've never heard of GIST. I don't know what they're talking about. And here I am, now in the road to recovery. And the road to recovery involves much aftercare. I should say that in the Monday, right, not only did one of the things I missed out, but it was actually in that letter that you've seen, they actually put a feeding tube in me because I hadn't eaten or anything. So they had a feeding tube in here, peg fed with them, and I learned how to change and everything that, which was just as well because that was sustaining me. So the question there is in the aftercare. Now again, there isn't any criticism, but when they turn around and say to you, go and get your bloods, there's never a discussion about what the bloods are for. What do they do with that information? What are they looking for? How do they do it? And do they know half like sticking needles in your arm? You know what I mean? They're like, what's that about? You just go up that, right? Is it left or right? Bang, and you go. Right, okay, so no discussion about it. But when I was there at the Beatson, they said, we'll send you for a PET scan. And a PET scan? What the hell's a PET scan? Don't know what a PET scan is. Anyway, we'll go for a PET scan. Has anybody here had a PET scan? Right, okay. I don't know if your experience is the same as mine, right? But you walk into the West of Scotland PET scan area, and you're taken through, and you're put into a wee room with a chair, table-like thing. So if you can sit there, we'll get you hooked up. Again, needle in the arm, put in. And they bring a radioactive isotope type thing like this, right? And they say, no, this is going to take about half an hour to get in here, and I'll not be in the room with you. I'm away. Right, okay, so she disappears. Is it done? Oh, it's done. Disconnect it. Sit there for an hour, because it's going to get through your body. But I'm finding this after it, no at the time. And I go, okay, right, so I just sit here in this wee room with this chair, and I'm looking about this info. And when you come out, don't have any contact with him, just walk into that room and go on that table yourself. What's that about? Oh, and by the way, here's a wee leaflet that tells you, don't have any contact with any pregnant people. So, you have it. The interesting thing about it is, when you go for a consultation afterwards, you've had the PET scan, and you're sitting with a medic. Fantastic, brilliant lad. Turns around and says, I want to show you something on the screen. He says, what's actually happened to you? This radioactive source that they've actually put in is actually like sugar. And what it shows up yellow when it comes in contact with cancer. And you go, oh, right, that's interesting. Right, okay. He says, so there's a screen. He says, we're going to show it through you. And I'm chuffed to bits, because if you're here down, I've got nothing, right? So I'm one of the few people who know I don't have cancer up here because I've had the PET scan. So it comes down, 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 bang, yellow. Unbelievable. Something like that. I said, oh, he says, I see it, right, okay. He says, no. He says, that's your kidneys, trying to get rid of it. He says, so don't worry about that. I'm going, all right, okay. Then he comes down and he goes, oh, there, it's there. I said, oh, and there it's there, and there it's there. And I goes, okay. He says, so there's 2 in your abdomen, 1 in your liver. What's remaining of the liver? Because half of it's been taken away. All right, okay, that's fine. He says, have you any questions? I says, I hope it's not an obvious question, but given the fact you know where it is, why don't you cut it out? And he laughed, and he goes, and I said, what's the problem? He says, oh, but what you went through, we can't cut it out. I was never satisfied with that, because I asked another consultant, says, seeing you know where it is, why don't you cut it out? And they turn around and say, we need to take your lymph nodes away. I don't know anything about medicine, right? I don't understand it, right? But they tell me that. You go, okay, right, fair enough, no surgery. That's why it's incurable. And that's why I asked Chris, Nick, when we were in Edinburgh, what's the difference between incurable and terminal? And the difference is that incurable means there is no medical intervention, radiography intervention, or indeed any chemical or surgical intervention. So that's why it's incurable. So to make sure that that's monitored successfully, undergo CT scans every 3 months at that time. Now again, has anybody had the CT scan? Right, okay. Your experience of the CT scan is probably the same as mine, but sometimes it's worse than others. Sometimes you get somebody who can put a needle in your arm, sometimes they don't. But when I've been for CT scans, and I've been to CT scans at Wishaw General Hospital, the Golden Jubilee Hospital, Clydebank, the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, Children's Ward, that's where I went for that one, and Gartnavel. Wishaw General, they take you in, walk you in, there's a room, take your clothes off, the usual thing, take your clothes off, leave your pants and your socks and shoes on. Okay, right, I didn't realise that was going to happen, but anyway, I had some money in my pocket, where am I going to put it? In my sock, that'll do, right, okay. So I go in there, and then they come and they shout you, and you go through, they put a needle in your arm, tell you what's happening, you go through it and you get it. But that's good, because it's a modern, just built hospital. You go to the Golden Jubilee Hospital, and you walk in and it's the same probably for you. They give you a bag, don't they? They give you a bag, and they say, put your clothes in that bag, and when you come out, just sit there. Oh, right, okay. And here's 2 gowns. Only in the Golden Jubilee, they didn't give me 2 gowns. You know, put one in like a coat, one in brown. So you're sitting there, give me one. And I said to her, you've only given me one. She looks at me up and down, I only need one. I'm like, oh. The women that were coming in, they were getting 2. The other men that were coming in, they were getting 2. I'm going, what have I done to offend her, by the way? I knew what it was, she was going on shift, she wasn't caring. Anyway, I'm sitting there. Now, can you imagine what that feels like? All your worldly possessions in a bag, and you're walking about with your, so I mean, a wee bit pride here, you know what I mean? You're walking about with your socks and shoes, you're walking about and you're sitting along with other people and you're going, oh well, that's how it goes. And you go in, and the radiographer says, they very rarely ask if you've had it before. They turn around and say, I'm going to put this in, you'll feel a wee bit warm glow, put your arm behind your head. Oh, okay, that's fine. So I did that. And when I went to the Children's Hospital, it was the only place I could do it. The girl actually knocked the top off the cannula. And I'm not kidding, when I got up to go for my CT scan, there was a pool of blood that was that big. They were still lighting me up when I come back from my CT scan. It was unbelievable. But again, discussions were limited. And then it brings me to that one there, Glevic Artiva, and I heard the discussion that was taking place. Now, I get into the Beatson, and because imatinib, I never knew it was imatinib until Nick spoke about it. It was always Glevic, right? Anyway, I go in and I get the consultation. And they say, go round to the pharmacy and pick up your prescription. So I go round and I pick up my prescription. And the girl comes out, gives me the bag, and I'm going, rank stuff. Too big a box, you know, rank stuff. And I'm challenging the pharmacist, I'm challenging the pharmacist as if she doesn't know what she's doing. Right? And I say, sorry, but it's Glevic. No, it's now this generic one. I say, okay. Now, Jules was asking the thing earlier, is it as effective? I don't know. I'm speaking to people in at the Bateson who've been on it for 10 years. Why was there never a wee discussion to turn around and inform us that it was changing? I spoke to one of the consultants and I said to them, why did that happen? I spoke to this nurse specialist and he said, we didn't know. The pharmacy just decided. For that very reason, what Judith said, it's cheaper. Is it as effective? I hope it is. The one thing that I do know about it is it's a hell of a lot bigger than another one. Right, now when you've got your esophagus having been connected, and then I don't know how many endoscopies I've had to try and stretch it, because you learn to eat. Getting that tablet down is a wee bit difficult at times, you know what I mean? And probably for that reason they've got it that it can be half. Glivit couldn't be half because there wasn't a line on it, but the Tiva. So the discussion on about that was a wee bit suspect. But the other thing there is that there seems to be a thing when you're an inpatient in this environment, that cubicle curtain is a sort of barrier to sound. Now, it isn't a barrier to sound, because see the discussion they're having and trying to arrange for social care to be provided for the guy that's next to me who happens to be alcoholic and vulnerable. I know what he's going to get, right? So when they come to me, they know exactly the same thing. And I wonder how we could influence that to turn around and say, is that right? And I put here other anecdotes. And other anecdotes are, I have a young niece who sadly has just recently been diagnosed with MS. And she fell pregnant, but she was struggling with it. And unfortunately, she miscarried. But she goes to the hospital and she's in the ward of a maternity hospital having miscarried. And the person across with this magic curtain on about her is seeking a termination. I make no comment on that person's right for that. But would it be a place that you would expect that discussion to take place with somebody who suffered a loss? It's incredible. And how does it go when maybe somebody's getting a diagnosis that you turn around and go, oh, why did I have to hear that? You know, my wife, who's up the back, had ovarian cancer, and the person who was opposite, you know, was terminal. And her man and her son's there, and they're telling her she's terminal. We can't do anything for you. And my wife's upset because she's hearing that. How was it for them? And I'm just saying, when we think about maybe the environment in which we're making that discussion, having that discussion, could it not be somewhere different than a curtain going on about a cubicle? So what I'm looking for and what I'm seeking from us here, the patients that are here, I'm looking for a wee bit cooperation between patients and doctor. And I turn around and say, I hope it's going to be welcome. And I would like, and it could start in here, I don't know, establish a panel of patients willing to talk to student doctors and others to aid understanding of how it feels to be a patient. Now, I said I wouldn't mention anybody, but here's this, when I volunteered to do this, volunteered with Sharon, it was somewhere about April, May. This is August, and this is a doctor, an eminent doctor, a neuroscientist, a neurosurgeon, eminent doctor. And he turns around, and the reason I'm saying it is because I have quoted him in part here. Always remember, illness happens to patients and to doctors. And it actually starts here. And here, this is this eminent, if you like, this very eminent neurosurgeon who has written books, Henry Marsh, and he turns around and says, I thought illness happens to patients, not to doctors. And I would wonder if his experience, we all want our doctors to be infallible because it is terrifying to think they're not. One of the nice things about retirement is that I feel like a complete human being. I can now have a straightforward, uncomplicated reaction to human suffering, which is sympathy and sorrow. It's an act being a doctor. You learn to hide your feelings from your patients and end up hiding them from yourself. I'm no doubt the things that doctors say, doctors do, is absolutely out with my knowledge. I'm not one of these people that go up and look in the eyes of a child and turn around and say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. Doctors are doing that. Doctors need help when it's interaction with others. And I'm turning around and saying, when they're writing or going to speak, could they avoid a wee bit jargon? Because that letter I showed you turns around and says, add a total gastrectomy. If they'd have turned around and says, we took your stomach away, brilliant. I know what they're talking about now. I turn around and go, I took my stomach away, what does that mean? Right. A splenectomy, they've taken my spleen away. Okay, what does the spleen do? I don't know what the spleen does. Right, so what will it do? So there's one there where they put a feeding tube in, but they don't use that word. I'm not even going to try and say what the word is. But that's what they do. So I'm turning and saying, see when you're talking to patients, that'd be a good thing if you'd stop using jargon. Right, and maybe that would aid their understanding. Maintain your independence of thought. Sometimes I feel as if, occasionally, they reinforce what's been said before. Now that's a good thing, because that's them backing up, they've read, they're doing things, and you say, well, that's good. Unfortunately, what can happen is it can lead them down a rabbit hole. And I've seen some of the communication that was going between. And one of the things they said about me was that I was anxious. Very good to I don't need a doctor, I'm anxious. But when I was there, the last time, I was perfectly reasonable, because I'm here 6 years down this line. I've got the imatinib. People say, how are you? I do, oh, okay, as well as can be expected. I don't have any after effects or what I mean. In fact, at times I go like that. Right, that was quite a thing to go through. But I seen this letter, because I went to the doctor, and he was reading this, and I'm nosy, so I looked at this, and it says, he appeared anxious. I wasn't anxious at all, not in the least. But the other thing about maintaining your independence of thought is the fact that, and I heard people saying it earlier, of course you go in with all different types of things wrong with your stomach, and omeprazole is one of these things that they give you. But at times, when I was pleading with the doctor and Tony saying, I feel as if there's something growing inside me. I feel as if there's something pressing. I just feel really bad. Try that and we'll get back to you. So I'm looking for maintain your independence of thought, and we can help with that, because we can tell them that just exists, just as something that maybe they should consider. I heard that wonderful thing for the lady up the back, right? And she told her doctor, saved her life. I've no doubt. The doctors in Wishaw saved my life, without any doubt. Somebody said they had a hunch. Well, we shouldn't get it to the situation where it's a hunch, or they should be no guessing. Maybe they should, and it's our challenge to turn around and say, maybe there's something else, right? So that's one of the things that we're going to be involved in, hopefully with Nick. Consider the environment when consulting with patients. If I was sitting down with a group of student doctors and said to them, how do you learn on the job and what have you? I've no doubt they go around about with a consultant and they go in and say, this is Jim and he's got guests, and they go, oh, right, off it's that's interesting. What I mean. But they're also learning how you break bad news. Right, that's one of the things they do. You know what they do? Come and speak to me, and I'll tell you how to break bad news. Come and speak to you, right? And the doctors would be willing to do that. I know the doctors would be willing to do that. They're not blind to it, and they're no deaf to what we're actually saying. And the other thing here is that I thought about it when doing the presentation was encourage feedback. Now, understand this. People are different, and they have different ways of coping, and they have different understanding of what's been said. And I believe the good doctors will actually turn around and say, do you understand what we're saying? Have you ever been asked, I know it's charming about a feedback, don't you? Feedback, right? Have you ever had a feedback form for a doctor? Well, I've never. They'd be still and say, what did you think of that? What did we do well? What could we do better? So I'm going to encourage feedback. We could encourage feedback and turn around and say, just for that moment, sitting down with the patient that you've given the treatment to and ask them, did they understand? Do they fully appreciate what's happened? We're going to be with you in this journey. Is there anything else we can do? True story, I was talking to my daughter-in-law about this, right? And she says, Jim, it's just how people are as doctors and the empathy and the sympathy they have. And I know she's a brilliant doctor. I know she's a great doctor, right? And I do that, and I'm bumming her up, you know what I mean, but that's okay. She said to me something which was, and it took me back a wee bit. She says, when I go and visit my patients in a home visit, the first thing I do is take my jacket off, take my coat off, and I put it to the side. And with that very act, she's turned around and said, I'm here for you. And I'm not trying to get out that door because I'm going to listen to what you're going to say. And only when I'm satisfied that you understand what we're doing, when you're satisfied that what I'm doing is right for you, then I'll put my jacket on and I'll go. Now that's a wonderful thing to do. I wonder how many people do it. I don't know how many people do it. But I think we, as patients, could have communication with doctors to turn around and say that that very thing is very, very important. And I finish up by turning and saying that there, you know, that as Henry Marsh said, you know, there's a world of difference between being a patient and being a doctor. And what would be nice is to think that the doctor could not only sympathise or empathise, but make our journey that wee bit easier. I'm going to finish by turning around and naming somebody else. I said I wouldn't name, but I'm going to name a doctor, and it wasn't anything to do with me. It was to my wife who had ovarian cancer. You know, had a hysterectomy, the appendectomy. I put an appendix out, you know what I mean? Appendectomy, right. Anyway, the time of appendectomy, wasn't well, had the chemotherapy. We went and seen the most wonderful guy, his presence, tall, lean. I seen him looking. His name is Professor McNeish, who was at the Beats in West of Scotland. He's now, I think, a director with Cancer UK. I seen him taking the notes and going away in, because I'm sitting there, and the thing that strikes you when you're at the Beats in West of Scotland Cancer Care is the number of women who are there. I mean, you go through the clinics, and it's just women everywhere, you know, and you go, bloody hell. We go into the gist, there's you and somebody else. There's nobody there, right? Because they only have it once a fortnight. He is packed with the women. Struck me. But he went in and he got the notes. I seen him taking the notes. And he goes there and he reads it. And I'm watching his interaction. And me and my wife are waiting. With trepidation, you can understand. Huge thing. He goes and reads the notes. Maybe 10 minutes. He comes out. He's erect. Shouts. Comes up to where Mrs. Watson. Wife stands up. Goes up. No shout, you know, and come in. He goes and he's like, and the first thing he does at that time, pre-pandemic, was shook your hand warmly, my wife's hand, took us in. Didn't he sit with his front here at the computer, you're at the side. He sat and faced you. And he told us, I'll cure you. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And he did. And I thought, that should be the mentor for the people who are coming through, somebody like that. And that's why I give them a shout out. They'll probably never see this, but it doesn't matter. If they could all be like that, it'd be fantastic. So my task today was to stand here before you and turn around and say, no make criticism of the medics. I think they do a fantastic job. Don't criticise the NHS. It's absolutely unbelievable what happens. They saved my life and others. Yeah, there are other things they could do well, but let's us be involved in that communication. No turn around and say, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. Turn around and say, hopefully they will pick that up. Hopefully somebody will maybe see this and say, Nick, but the patients will only come and speak to us. Now we've got 4 teaching hospitals as it centres. We've got Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Dundee, Glasgow. I'd be willing to go to any of them to turn around and sit and say what needs to be said, to try and make sure that they become better doctors, if they become better doctors, then we as patients are going to have a better outcome. I'm standing here before you, somebody who's went that journey, know nothing about GIST. I feel, having listened to the two people today, Fiona's still here, Dr. Ali's away, I'm just envious of the skills they bring to us and what they do to actually make it. I have no idea what the mitotic count is, I don't know, but any idea what the kit is. I'm believing in the doctors, and I want to continue believing in the doctors, but I want to aid and assist the doctors achieving their outcomes. So I'm grateful for your for listening to the day.